Well, hello out there, folks. How are you doing this week? Boy, there was just so much news this week, I couldn't keep up with it all. If you listen to the quick reports, and you should, then you know there was a lot of stuff I actually didn't even get to, mainly because we had the candidates jumping in the race left and right. We will talk about that. Some of the news I did miss. There's complete incompetence going on down in Baltimore, admitted incompetence. We'll talk about that. There was an Islamic attack in Garland, Texas. We will take a look at that. Also, the left's reaction to what's going on down in Texas and to the contest that sparked the attack. We'll take a look at that. Hillary has come forward and told us all about what she's going to do if, God forbid, she becomes our next president. When it comes to illegal aliens in the United States, we'll take a look at what she said. And I've got one of my pet peeves in line here to discuss tonight. Something happened this week I want to talk about. This is just a really big pet peeve of mine, so we're going to take a look at that. All of that right here, right now, on this, the Ray Warner Show, hosted by me, Ray Warner. Thank you so much for listening in today. If you have any questions for me, any comments, any concerns, if you need to rant or vent as much as I do, maybe you have a music request, I get all kinds of things in this email, but you can feel free to email me at theraywarnershow@gmail.com. So we had 3 candidates jump in the race, and this is kind of causing a problem for me. As I said last time, we had 2 candidates jump in the race. We had Hillary, and then we had Marco Rubio, and I didn't want to try to stuff them together. I guess I could, but I still don't want to do that. What I'm going to do is, as they come in order, I'm going to take a look at each one, what they're saying, and see if we can't find some sound bites of their positions on some of the issues. And since Ben Carson was first, we're going to take a look at Ben Carson. Now, he, of course, made his announcement in Detroit, and here are the highlights from that speech.
America remains a place of dreams. And a lot of people are down on our nation, and they want to point out all the bad things that have happened here. But have you ever noticed that there's a lot of people trying to get in here and not a lot of people trying to escape? It says something. There are many people who are critical of me because they say Carson wants to get rid of all the safety nets and welfare programs, even though he must have benefited from them. This is a blatant lie. I have no desire to get rid of safety nets for people who need them. I have a strong desire to get rid of programs that create dependency in able-bodied people. We're not doing people a favor when we pat them on the head and they say, there, you poor little thing, we're going to take care of all your needs. You don't have to worry about anything. You know who else says stuff like that? Socialists. And their programs always end up looking the same. They want to take care of people from cradle to grave, but they want to be involved in every aspect of their lives, and they want most of their earnings. But they say it'll be a utopia, and nobody will have to worry. The problem is all of those societies end up looking the same, with a small group of elites at the top controlling everything, a rapidly diminishing middle class, and a vastly expanded dependent class. That was not the intention for this country. This country was envisioned by individuals who wanted everything to be surrounding the people, of, for, and by the people, not of, for, and by the government. And the government was to respond to the will of the people, not the people to the will of the government. We've allowed the whole thing to be turned upside down. It's time for the people to rise up and take the government back. I'm not politically correct. And I'm probably never, I'm probably never going to be politically correct because I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician because politicians do what is politically expedient. And I want to do what's right. We have to think about that once again in our country. The key to us as a nation becoming successful again. Not allowing ourselves to be manipulated by people who think that they are the kingmakers, who think that they are the rulers of thought. They are not the rulers of thought. We, the people, are the rulers of thought in this nation. We get to determine what kind of nation we have. Other people cannot dictate that for us. We never allow anybody to take that right away from us. The majority of Americans were opposed to the so-called Affordable Care Act. And they just rammed it down our throats and say that this is the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it, too bad. That was never supposed to be the way that this country was designed. And if we accept it, it will continue that way, and it will get worse. We need not only to take the executive branch in 2016, and when I say we, I'm not talking Republicans. I'm talking about anybody who has common sense. We have to have another wave election and bring in people with common sense who actually love our nation and are willing to work for our nation and are more concerned about the next generation than the next election. That's what's going to help us. I will be giving an in-depth economic speech in weeks and months to come with a lot of details about things that have to be done. If God ordains that we end up in the White House, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We are going to change the government into something that looks more like a well-run business than a behemoth of inefficiency. There are people who say, but you can't do this. You don't have any experience. Well, let me tell you something. I don't have a lot of experience busting budgets and doing the kinds of things that have gotten us into all the trouble that we're in now. But I do have a lot of experience in solving problems, complex surgical problems that have never been done by anybody before. I do have experience I do have corporate board experience with 18 years at Kellogg and 16 years with Costco, as well as a biotech company. Candy and I do have experience starting a national nonprofit, Scholars Fund. 9 out of 10 of those fail. Ours is thriving in all 50 states and has won several national awards. So the point being that you can gain experience in other ways. It doesn't have to be just in politics. I can name a lot of people in politics who've been there all their lives, and you probably wouldn't want them to polish your shoe. We need to be smart enough to think for ourselves, to listen for ourselves. The real pedigree that we need to help to heal this country, to revive this country. Someone who believes in our Constitution and is willing to put it on the top shelf. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
So that was Ben Carson. You know, it was kind of hard to actually go through and pull stuff out. His whole speech was so good. But those were the highlights from his announcement speech. Now, I've also gone back and done a little bit of digging so we could see what Ben Carson thinks on some issues. So here's Ben Carson on same-sex unions.
Marriage is between a man and a woman. It's a well-established fundamental pillar of society. And no group, be they gays, be they NAMBLA, be they people who believe in bestiality, it doesn't matter what they are, they don't get to change the definition. So it's not something that's against gays. It's against anybody who wants to come along and change the fundamental definitions of pillars of society. It has significant ramifications.
So very strong. That's kind of my opinion. There's all kind of weirdness out there when it comes to this sort of thing. And he even threw in bestiality, of course. We got people marrying their dogs. We got all kinds of stuff going on. And we just really should not be redefining the definition of marriage. That's my opinion. That's obviously Ben Carson's opinion. And as you've heard me say, there really is no such a thing as same-sex marriage. It just doesn't exist. Our Creator has ordained marriage. He has given us marriage. He has defined marriage. It's His. It's His to do that with. And like you've heard me say, even if Congress does make laws, I don't care if your local government is giving out marriage licenses for gays. You're not married. You will never be married. Congress can't change the definition of marriage any more than they can change gravity. They just can't do it. But anyway, I've got a little more on Ben Carson here. Here he is talking about a child's right to life.
Many people believe that if there is a baby and it is in my uterus, then I can do anything I want with it. Instead of recognizing that the good Lord put that fetus in supposedly the safest place it could possibly be on earth. And does that convey the right to terminate it? It doesn't convey that right any more than a slave owner had the right to terminate a slave. Some of them thought that they did have that right to do that. But fortunately, our thinking on that issue evolved. And it gives me hope that eventually our thinking on this issue will evolve as well.
So Ben Carson is strong on pro-life. He did say that he didn't always hold that view. Some of you may not know, Ben Carson was actually pretty liberal, but he has since seen the light. And he likens the abortion issue to slavery, where a slave owner had the right to terminate the life of the slave. And he kind of sees this the same way. Terminating any life is wrong. It's just absolutely wrong. Those of you that listen to me know that I've said life began with Adam and Eve, and it's never been suspended. It's never dead. It's never inert. It's always alive. Now, I've got one more here from Ben Carson that I dug up. Listen to this.
There's a reason for the Second Amendment. People do have the right to have weapons. With this argument that's going on, the way we solve it is we ask, what is each side afraid of? And then we address it that way.
Do I have a right to own a semi-automatic weapon?
It depends on where you live, I think. I think if you live in the midst of a lot of people, and I'm afraid that that semi-automatic weapon is going to fall into the hands of a crazy person, I would rather you not have it. If you live out in the country somewhere by yourself, I have no problem.
Is that a government, the federal government, or the local government that can decide that?
I think it'd probably be a local.
So if you're a big Second Amendment fan, he's not the strongest supporter there, now is he? It depends on where you live? How about if I live in America, Mr. Carson? I live in America, and I'm an American. That means I have a right to keep and bear arms. That's my right. No firearms should be banned. It doesn't matter where in America I live, so he's not the biggest supporter when it comes to gun rights. But there you have it. That's our look at Dr. Ben Carson this week. The three that announced this week, of course, was Ben Carson and then Carly Fiorina. And the third one was Mike Huckabee. And we'll be taking a look at them each week. I'll be doing them just in order as they announced. And we'll take a look at their speeches and at some of their views and things like that as time goes on. Hopefully not too many more will be jumping in at a time. I'd rather just kind of take them one at a time as they come in. But we'll see what happens. We'll be back. Stay right there, folks.
There's plenty of free parking at the Ray Warner Show.
You have reached the Bovine Chicken Chat Line, where you can chat with tons and tons of cows about chicken. All our cows are busy. While you're waiting, why not get to know some of these fuzzy fans of chicken? Heifer 9672 is a 1,200-pounder from Kentucky who likes long walks in the pasture, watching cars go by from the pasture, and eating the pasture. She's also an aspiring author, writing a book called The Burgers of Wrath. Bull 5441 is a bull from Chicago with a pierced nose and a nasty temper. But he loves people who eat chicken and the good folks at Chick-fil-A who make the chicken. Bull 5441's pet peeves are cow tipping and the color red, especially when it's meat. All our cows are still busy. Please try calling the Bovine Chicken Chat Line later. The cows thank you for calling and for not eating burgers. This call made possible by Chick-fil-A.
I came home last night and my door was smashed open. It's like they knew right where to go. Like they'd been in my house before. They got my cameras, the silver, the coins. My husband's beautiful old shotgun. They took my jewelry. I can't believe it. It's all gone.
Each year, more than 4 million homes are burglarized in the U.S. Keep your valuables safe and secure with a safe that gives you an extra margin of protection. A Liberty safe is built tough and offers the most technologically advanced security features available. Plus, Liberty safes are independently certified for residential security, and they're built right here in the U.S. Don't take a chance when it comes to your home security. Purchase a Liberty safe for the things you value most.
Some things can be replaced. Some just can't.
To learn more, go to libertysafe.com.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for listening. This is The Ray Warner Show. I am your host, Ray Warner. If you want to email the show, if you have any questions for me, any concerns, any feedback, any comments, you just want to tell me to shut up, you feel free. The email address is theraywarnershow@gmail.com. Now, what's been going on in Baltimore, it's just absolute incompetence on parade as far as I'm concerned. The Baltimore mayor, we now know, told the police to stand down. They allowed the looting and the destruction to continue, the destruction of people's private property, the attacks on cops. None of this has been responded to or answered for. And now what we learned this week is that the Department of Justice is going to be stepping in there and conducting an investigation into the police in Baltimore, just as they did in Ferguson. Only this comes with a little bit of a twist. Listen to this.
We all know that Baltimore continues to have a fractured relationship between the police and the community. And recent events continue to demonstrate the need to press forward with these reforms. We have to get it right. Failure is not an option. In order to achieve the kind of sustainable and significant reform that we want to see, that I want to see, that the citizens want to see in Baltimore, I am requesting the Department of Justice conduct a federal pattern or practice investigation into the Baltimore City Police Department.
That's right, folks. The mayor of Baltimore, Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, has asked the DOJ to come into her city and investigate the police. Now, you heard her say, we have to get it right. Failure is not an option. Now, is this not an admission that this woman has no idea what she's doing? We have to get this right. And while I can't do it, please, somebody from the federal government, please come and help me. Failure is not an option, and I just might fail. I just think this is funny. This is an admission of her own incompetence. She went on. Listen to this.
Such an investigation is essential if we are going to build on the foundation of reforms that we have instituted over the past few years.
It's essential that the government step in. She's powerless to fix it on her own. Absolutely powerless. Since when is the federal freaking government essential for pretty much anything? Why is it they are essential? Why is it she cannot handle her own city? Why is it she cannot conduct her own investigation? I've got a question for the mayor. Why did you run? If you can't do the job, and you know you can't do the job, why did you run for office? Why? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Well, let's finish this up. Here's part 3 of her little speech.
At the end of this process, I will hold those accountable if change is not made. We cannot be timid in addressing this problem, and I'm a mayor that does not shy away from our city's big challenges.
Yeah, she's a mayor who does not shy away from her city's challenges. No, she just calls in the federal government to do it for her, to do her job for her. You know, I just don't get this. I want to know who put pressure on her to do this. You think she got a phone call from the White House saying, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out there and you're going to say this. And she's like, what? Oh, yeah, this is what you're going to go out there and you're going to say that. Do it right now. And she's probably like, what? No, I can handle my city. No, you're going to go out there and you're going to say, we want the Department of Justice to come and investigate our police. And so she does it. She is the mayor. It's her city. It's her police department. She's the mayor. And she obviously knows that she cannot handle the job. She cannot conduct this investigation on her own. She cannot get to the bottom of this. The federal government, it is essential that the federal government step in and do this for her because she just can't handle it. I just don't get this. Now, when I first heard this, all I could think about was there was a soundbite about somebody asking the president to raise his taxes. Remember that? Listen to this.
Let's turn to the audience now. A lot of hands going up. Mr. President, want to pick someone?
Yeah, well, you kind of put me on the spot here. The guy in the glasses right in the back. Why not?
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a job, but that's because I've been lucky enough to live in Silicon Valley for a while and work for a small startup down the street here that did quite well. So I'm unemployed by choice. My question is, would you please raise my taxes? I would like very much to have the country to continue to invest in things like Pell Grants and infrastructure and job training programs that made it possible for me to get to where I am. And it kills me to see Congress not supporting the expiration of the tax cuts that have been benefiting so many of us for so long. I think that needs to change, and I hope that you'll stay strong in doing that.
Please raise my taxes because I want the programs to continue that Congress is going to allow the sunset clause on. So who wrote this question? Who set this question up? Did you hear the president? Oh, well, you're going to put me on the spot? Yeah, seriously. Like he didn't know this guy was in there. Like he didn't know to call on this guy who's going to say, would you please raise my taxes? You know, if I were the president and someone said to me, would you please raise my taxes? I would say, why on God's green earth do you want me to raise your taxes? You know what taxes are like? Taxes are like you giving yourself a blood transfusion from one arm to the other and losing half of it on the floor. Losing more than half. That's what it's like. How does that help? If I were the president, I would have said to this guy, no, I'm not going to raise your taxes. Here's what we're going to do. You take your money and you start your own foundation, your own charity, your own nonprofit organization, whatever you want to do. You are the best person to spend your money. You are the best person that best knows how to spend your money and on whatever goals you have in mind. If you want to help your community, if you want little education projects, whatever you want to do, go out there and do it. And you are the best person to do that. You're the best person to oversee that. You're the best person to see that there isn't any fraud or any corruption or any waste going on. You are the best person to do that. So why don't you go out there and do that? Why do we need to get the federal government involved in trying to fund some little education program? Does anyone really feel good about turning over a bunch of cash to the federal government so they can fund a program? Does anyone else see a problem with that, or is it just me? You turn over a bunch of money to the federal government, and it just disappears. It just evaporates. What happened to the stimulus? Remember the stimulus? What happened to that? What happened to the billions of dollars of stimulus? Where did it go? Where's all those shovel-ready jobs that were being paid for? Remember that? This is what the government does with our money. And I would say to this individual, I would say, no, I'm not going to raise your taxes. You take your money and you do what you want to do with it. You go ahead and you fund those programs. Start your own programs. You go ahead and decide to assist who you want and leave out who you want based on merit, based on whatever it is you think deserves your assistance. You're the best person to do that. Anyway, that was all I could think of when I heard her say that she was begging the Department of Justice to come in and do her job for her. And of course, the newly installed Loretta Lynch, this is what she had to say.
The Department of Justice is opening an investigation into whether the Baltimore Police Department has engaged in a pattern or practice of violations of the Constitution or federal law. This investigation will begin immediately and will focus on allegations that Baltimore Police Department officers use excessive force, including deadly force, conduct unlawful searches, seizures, and arrests, and engage in discriminatory policing. The COPS Office will continue to work with the Baltimore Police Department, and the collaborative reform process will now convert to the provision of technical assistance to the Baltimore Police Department. Now, some may ask how this differs from our current work with Baltimore Police Department. And the answer is, rather than examining whether the police department violated good policies, we will now examine whether they violated the Constitution and the community's civil rights.
So, as she said, they're going to go in there. They're not really looking at police procedure or any policies or whatever the department had that may have been violated. What they're going to look for is constitutional problems, constitutional violations, violations of people's rights. So there you have it, folks. We have a mayor saying, please help, I'm incompetent. We'll be back. Stay right there.
You're listening to The Rainwater Show. Resistance is futile.
21 Signs of Doomsday. God said, man said.com. Noah's Ark, fact or fiction. Geologists say yes to crucifixion. Science says eat butter. God said, man said.com. Scientists study speaking in tongues. Hours of text and audio. God said, man said.com. Doctors flummoxed by what they found in female brains. St. Peter's fish, hellworms, extraterrestrials amongst us. God said, man said.com.
Are you concerned about your privacy? Identity theft? Corporate eavesdropping? Who's listening in on your confidential calls? Silent Circle's innovative suite of encrypted communication services allows you the privacy you need and the ease of use you deserve. We've built a customized system focused on security, simplicity, and service, fashioned from the ground up by our team of world-renowned experts with no logging, no data farming, and no backdoors of any kind for anyone. When a Silent Circle subscriber makes a phone call, sends a text, or exchanges a file with another Silent Circle member, that transmission is encrypted, peer-to-peer, end-to-end, direct from your own mobile device or personal computer. With the addition of OutCircle access, you can even call individuals outside the circle knowing you're still encrypted to and from the silent network. Whether you're a small business concerned with corporate espionage, a governmental organization tasked to safeguard sensitive operations, or an individual protecting your family, you can trust Silent Circle's user-friendly apps and services to provide you with an affordable alternative to the risk you've had to accept until now. Silent Circle's groundbreaking global platform is the world's standard for secure mobile communications. Send a secure text across town or whisper in someone's ear 10,000 miles away. Silent Circle has revolutionized how the world communicates securely. Get in the circle.
across this country, people are waking up and saying what we're doing is not working. People are hurting tragically, and we need to turn this country around. There is a better way, a brighter future. How do we win? How do we inspire young people? Number one, we tell the truth. Defend the Constitution. All of it. Defend the First Amendment, the right to free speech, the right to a free press, the right to freedom of religion, and that means, among other things, not having the IRS ask citizens, tell me the content of your prayers. We need to stand for the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. We need to stand for the Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, the privacy of every American. Every child deserves an opportunity to have an excellent education regardless of your race, your class, your creed, where you come from. Every child deserves a fair chance at the American dream. We need to audit the Federal Reserve. We need to abolish the IRS. We need to stop bankrupting our country. We can either choose to keep our head down, to not rock the boat, to not stand for anything, or we can stand for principle. Millions of Americans stood up last fall and said, stop this train wreck, this disaster that is Obamacare, that is hurting millions of people. The Democrats said, the mainstream media said, they said this is hopeless. Don't you understand? Just move on, just accept it. You can't do anything to stop this. Yes, we can.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for still listening to This, The Ray Warner Show, hosted by me, Ray Warner. If you want to email the show, if you have any comments for me, any questions, any concerns, any feedback, I enjoy reading your email. You can send that to theraywarnershow@gmail.com. You know, apparently the mayor isn't the only incompetent boob in all of Baltimore. The police chief, this guy, his name is Anthony Batts. This is what he had to say about what's going on in Baltimore.
There is a lack of trust within this community, period, bottom line. And that's going to take healing. That's going to take us acknowledging as a police department, not just here in Baltimore, but law enforcement as a whole, that we've been part of the problem.
Yeah, so there you have it. He admits that he himself is also part of the problem. And if you've heard, he said not just in Baltimore, he said all of policing. So if you're a law enforcement officer out there within the sound of my voice, doesn't matter where you are, he's talking about you. You are the problem. That's what he said. Now, I've got a soundbite here from Hillary Clinton on immigration and illegal aliens, and this is what she had to say about what she would do as president.
This is where I differ with everybody on the Republican side. Make no mistakes. Today, not a single Republican candidate, announced or potential, is clearly and consistently supporting a path to citizenship. Not one. When they talk about legal status, that is code for second-class status. So I will fight for comprehensive immigration reform and a path to citizenship for you and for your families across our country. I will fight to stop partisan attacks on the executive actions that would put dreamers, including those with us today, at risk of deportation. And if Congress continues to refuse to act as president, I would do everything possible under the law to go even further.
Okay, so Hillary Clinton is going to go even farther. Someone needs to explain to me how Hillary can go farther under the law than Obama, who has already gone outside the law. How do you do that? How is that even possible? I mean, the law, there is a limitation created by the law. President Obama has exceeded that limitation. But she's going to go farther and still be under the law. That baffles me. I don't understand how it's even possible. I mean, think of it like this. Let's just say the Constitution, let's say the Constitution allows you to go 1,000 feet. Okay, and President Obama, we heard for a long time, I can only go 1,000 feet. We have a constitution that limits me to 1,000 feet. But then he ends up going 1,200 feet anyway. That's pretty much, what happened, right? So now along comes Hillary. And she says, I'm going to do even more. I'm going to go 1,500 feet without going over 1,000. How do you do that? How do you go farther in the law than someone who has already gone outside the law? The whole thing baffles me. But anyway, did you hear her say in there that she was the only one whose position was consistent? She said the word consistent, right? Play that back.
This is where I differ with everybody on the Republican side. Make no mistakes. Today, not a single Republican candidate, announced or potential, is clearly and consistently supporting a path to citizenship.
Okay, so only she is consistent on this. Well, listen to this.
We've got to do several things, and I am, adamantly against illegal immigrants. I made this exception basically on humanitarian grounds because of the individual stories, but certainly we've got to do more at our borders, and people have to stop employing illegal immigrants. Come up to Westchester, go to Suffolk and Nassau counties, stand in the street corners in Brooklyn or the Bronx. You're going to see loads of people waiting to get picked up to go do yard work and construction work and domestic work.
Yeah, now that was Hillary back in 2003. So how consistent is she? I mean, did you hear that? That's pretty bad. Is it not? I mean, that's like, wow, coming from a Democrat as far as illegal aliens are concerned. And she's talking about how consistent she is when it comes to illegal aliens and what's going to happen with them. And, she's trying to appease them and talk about how she's going to give them citizenship, something Obama he's trying to figure out how to get it done without actually doing it. But somehow she's going to go farther. Now, it's probably been all over your news. It's all Rush has talked about for the last 2 days is the stupid footballs. But if you haven't heard, the investigation by the NFL was completed into the footballs. And they said that there's really nothing conclusive. They have no conclusive evidence about what happened or who's guilty or, whatever. Now, I really don't care about the footballs, but what I do think is interesting about this is the fact that it took them 5 months to conclude this investigation. Think about that. For 5 months, it was somebody's job. He turned his alarm clock off, he got up, took a shower, got dressed, and went to work, and it was his job to figure out how some footballs lost a little bit of air. This was his job for 5 months, and they finally have concluded the investigation. Boy, if only they had old Marilyn Mosby at their disposal, they would have known what was wrong by the end of the game, huh? Within 24 hours of getting the evidence, she had those people charged. Now, I told you that I have a pet peeve. I've got Jamie Foxx. I think he played in the movie Ray Charles. I don't know if he's got any real singing ability, but Jamie Foxx sung the national anthem, and I want you to listen to this.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regulate, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
Now, this is seriously one of my pet. I cannot stand when people do this. They just tear up this song. I don't understand why they feel the need. And it's like only this song, right? Or it's mostly this song. But I don't get why they get out there and they go like, "Oh, sir, can you see by the dawn's early light?" What is that? What are you doing? Why do you got to tear up the song? I don't understand it. Sing the song, man. Have some respect. Have some respect for the song and for the flag and for the country that it represents and the people that died for it. Show some respect. I cannot stand when they do that. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. Now, of course, I'm sure you've heard about this Islamic attack down in Texas. Pamela Geller held her little Muhammad cartoon contest down there. She put up money for security, and it came in handy. They had extra security there. And what I think is even more interesting, though, is the left's reaction to her contest. This is Chris Matthews. Listen to this.
We're learning more about the gunman who opened fire at an event where an anti-Islamic group held a contest on who could be the nastiest cartoon of Muhammad. Do you believe that people set that kind of a mousetrap?
An anti-Islamic group? That's who had the contest? Chris Matthews must not know. It was actually a Muslim who won the contest. It wasn't an anti-Islamic group. It was just a contest. Anybody could have joined. It was actually a Muslim who won the thing. And then he called it a mousetrap. Seriously, Chris? Is that what you think of Muslims? You think of them as little mice, and this is a mousetrap to catch them? Now, Josh Earnest, he called it an attempted attack, and he actually used a T word. Listen to this.
At this point, this is still under investigation by the FBI and other members of the intelligence community to determine any ties or affiliations that these two individuals may have had with ISIL or other terrorist organizations around the world. So it's too early to say at this point. The thing that we can say definitively is that because of the quick and professional and brave work of local law enforcement officers, an attempted terrorist attack was foiled.
Yeah, can you believe that? He actually used a T word. He said terrorism. Whoa, what was he thinking? Isn't it extremism? Isn't that the word that they use? Of course, he didn't call it Islamic. He's not going to do that. But I don't even like the word terrorism. It was an Islamic attack. That's what it was. And, yeah, Pamela Geller now has a fatwa issued against her, so she's got a price on her head. And there's only one way to get out of that, you know. You know, and you may have heard me say this before. I'm not against someone exercising their rights. If you want to draw Muhammad, that's your business. But I wouldn't do that, and I would advise other people not to do it. It's just a point of, you know, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, as a believer in Jesus Christ, if I were to try to convince anyone to come to Christ, I wouldn't do it by mocking whatever it is they put their faith in. That's just me. It's not that I care that they're mocking Muhammad or that, you know, I don't think they should do that. I just don't think they should mock anything when you're trying to win hearts and minds. You're just not going to do it that way. But as far as, I mean, it is her right to do it. It's, you know, and I've got no problem with that if that's what she wants to do. And, of course, this, you know, I don't know what these guys were thinking. This isn't France, okay? You know, two guys went over to the Charlie Hebdo and they started shooting people up. And then, of course, you know, the French cops over there in Paris came rolling up. One of them didn't come rolling up on his bike. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Yeah, that's not how we do it here in America. I don't know what these guys were thinking. I really don't. These two guys go in there like they're going to shoot the place up. The first cop they met put them down. These guys had AK-47s and body armor. And the first cop they met with a pistol put them down. So, Islamic State, welcome to Texas. That's it for this week, folks. Thanks for listening in today. Don't forget, if you want to email me, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, any problems with something I've said, If you feel the need to rant or vent, sometimes I actually read these things on the during the show. Maybe you just want to tell me to shut up. You can do that too. You can email me at theraywandershow@gmail.com. And if you haven't seen it, I've got a new blog page up there. It's called the Opinions page. There's some news articles and some opinion there. And there's some good stuff there. So make sure you check that out. And I don't know how you are listening right now or how you normally listen to this, The Ray Warner Show, and The Ray Warner Quick Reports. But there are many ways that you can listen, just in case you don't know. If you go to theraywarnershow.com, you can get the show, of course, at the podcast page. You can subscribe, and you'll get a link in your email. Every show is posted on YouTube. Every show is posted on Facebook. Every show is posted on Twitter. So you can like the Facebook page, and you'll get it there. You can follow us on the Twitter. You'll get it there. And, of course, you can subscribe at the YouTube channel for The Ray Warner Show and get it there. It's also at iTunes. So you can go to iTunes. You can listen that way. You can download it. You can also download it from the website, theraywarnershow.com. However you listen to the show, I am so thankful that you do, and we'll see you next week, folks. So long.